And then you have the New York State Attorney General, the hate crimes hotline, 800-771-7755. Last time, 800-771-7755. And you can call that. And that is how you get that situation solved. Now, I've been besieged with calls also when I wear my country where I was born, the flag of Guyana, where you were born, and I'm flying it at half mast. And I'll tell you why, and I'll give you some other information on why it's being flown half mast. Whenever a flag is flown half mast, it's a sign of mourning. It's a sign of pain. It's a sign of concern. And there's no alternative for me than to wear this flag at half mast because this is the problem we have in Guyana. Guyana has had 5 months of turmoil, um, dictatorship, deprivation of democracy, and brutal uh, theft of democracy there. And many of you have been on many chat groups and so forth, but there's only one solution basically that I want to advance to you. And I've been telling you this, and many people have not been following me. They have just been engaging with each other in their petty, back room or backdoor fights, which has nothing to do with this. Now, there is a gentleman by the name of Mike Pompeo, the Honorable Mike Pompeo. He's the US Secretary of State. He's the right hand of the President of the United States. He has given 3 statements stating that he's going to involve and he's going to inflict serious sanctions on those who want to thwart democracy in Guyana. And I'm saying this as a person who was born in Guyana with a love for my country, who proudly holds American citizenship today, but who still will fight for the people of Guyana because many of my constituents here in Richmond Hill, Ozone Park, Briarwood, Queens Village, and Flora Park, and in other parts of America, do have that love and concern for Guyana. And rightly so, and I understand that because their navel string is buried there and they do have that love for their country. And that's a legitimate concern. And the American government has shown great interest, to its credit, to ensure that America, like so many other countries also, the democracy is brought to Guyana, or that democracy is observed. And it's been 5 weeks now, and we have had no democracy. We have had no final count. The democratic process is being stymied and held hostage by Claremont Mingo and by Lowenfield, who came up with a ridiculous proposition that it would take 158 days, 158 days to count ballots. He is clearly out of his mind. As a matter of fact, this man should be facing criminal charges of treason and obstruction of the governmental process of Guyana. And unless the DPP in Guyana does this to several people there, from Harry right to Harry wrong, as we say, there will not be any movement, there will not be any fairness, and there will be no return to democracy. The country will be held hostage. It will get no international help. It will get no international trade. It will not get any help with the coronavirus. People will continue to die. People will continue to get sick. People will not be concerned. The few who are ministers and cabinet people will continue to draw salaries. They will continue to live the high life. They will continue to benefit from an illegal regime, and the world and Guyanese will be suppressed. Well, this has got to change because this is nonsense. This is treason. This is undemocratic. This is unacceptable. Now I'll show you what you have to do. All of you out there who want to see democracy in Guyana, this is not a time to fight each other in your pettiness and and pretending to be quasi-intellectuals or pseudo-intellectuals or armchair politicians. It's a simple solution. You can bring the solution, so you need to get on board and do this. Now, this is my cell phone, and I'm going to call Mike Pompeo in front of you now and leave a message so you can understand how it's done. Now, this here is Mike Pompeo's number, the US Secretary of State. You see that? Mike Pompeo, US Secretary of State. Let's look at it very clearly. You have it there. You see it, right? Mike Pompeo, U.S. Secretary of State. His number's at the bottom there, 202-647-4000. 202 647 4000. So we'll call Mike Pompeo now, and I'll show you literally how to leave a message. You may not get him live. It's hardly likely to get such a top functionary of the United States government live, especially on a weekend, but you could still leave a message. So let's get to that. Let's get to Mike Pompeo. Here, see? Mike Pompeo, 202-647-4000. And now I'm going to call him. And it's ringing. And I'll play it so you can get an idea.
The Department of State. Please listen carefully as our menu options have changed. Press 1 for the passport information. Press 2 for the Visa Department. Press 3 for the Authentication Department. Press 4 to speak with the Department of State operator.
So I'll press 4 because we need to speak to the Department of State. We're not calling about passports or any issues. I will speak to the operator.
This call is subject to be monitored and or recorded for quality assurance and training purposes. If you remain on the line to be connected to an operator, you are consenting to be monitored. Good evening, Department of State. May I help you?
Hi, good evening. My name is Albert Baldeo. I'm a Guyanese citizen and also an American citizen, and I was calling about the Guyana situation, the hijack of democracy there by the GCOM representatives, and the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo's promise to help us.
Let me transfer you the message. One moment. Welcome to the US Department of State's comment line. Please leave your message after the beep. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Albert Baldeo. I'm a community leader in Richmond Hill, a large Guyanese expatriate population in the diaspora. I'm calling on behalf of all Guyanese and all nationals who are investing in Guyana. There's lack of democracy there, and the government is being hijacked. There has been no conclusion to the content, and we ask for the Secretary of State to cut involved, and therefore that Mike Pompeo take action. Thank you very much, and I look forward to having Mike Pompeo. We lobby him, we ask him to intervene in Guyana's elections and make sure he's aware of the situation so that he can have the votes counted and the legitimate winner of the president be declared.
Length recorded. To re-record, press 2-1. To approve as is, press pound. To make private, press 1. To make priority, press 2. To send, press priority. To make private, press 1. To remove priority status, press 2. To send, press not priority. To make private, press 1. To make priority, press 2. To send, press priority. To make private, press 1. To remove priority status, press 2. To send, press pound. Thank you for leaving your message. To access your mailbox, press.
So I've just left a message with the Secretary of State. This is like my fifth message that I've left to Mike Pompeo, the US Secretary of State. Now, you can also call the White House. You can call Congressman Meeks. You can also call Albio Ceres, and you can call Congresswoman Yvette Clarke the same way. These are all people who sit and can help, and Senator Chuck Schumer. They can all help. They can all put pressure on the undemocratic forces in Guyana. They can force them to adhere to democracy. We're not asking them to do anything illegal. We're asking them to do what is just and what is right. We're merely asking them to make sure that democracy, which has always been a problem in Guyana, and they know that since Cheddi Jagan time, 28 years Cheddi Jagan was kept out of office. 28 years. A very long time, an entire lifetime, and came back and won. The father of the nation. And that is why I fly my Guyana flag where I was born at half mast. It does not denigrate, and this is flying at half mast. And we can bring it a bit lower because we're very sad. The longer it is, the more attack it is on democracy. And as you can see, it's at half mast or 3/4 mast. It's coming right down. And this is a shame. This is treason. This is a criminal act. This is the real crimes. This is not bogus crimes you put on people. This is where One lunatic and one maniac, Claremont Mingo, and the CEO Lowenfield have hatched a conspiratorial plot, possibly with the chairwoman of the GCOM, Claudette Singh, and the three commissioners there, to hijack democracy, to deprive an entire country of 850,000 people, three-quarters of a million people, from having their democratic right. This is not just one person. This is the entire population of Guyana and affects those outside of Guyana, those who live over in New York, UK, Canada. There are large amounts of Guyanese who left because of the problems we had in Guyana, because of the dictatorship of the regimes before. And when Chadi came to power after 28 years, many of us had already built a second life in Guyana, outside of Guyana. And then these people came back, these charlatans came and decided to hold by rigging the votes. The Carter Center, to its credit, restored democracy in Guyana. The United Kingdom, Canada, the OAS, the ABC states, the CARICOM, just about everybody, every single person internationally and Guyanese citizens of standing have condemned this farce. That the election is a big farce, that the counting of the elections itself was properly conducted. Their reports show that they were very satisfied, all sides, the way the elections ended that day on election day. But it was the counting where the spreadsheets and the tampering with the figures and the invention of numbers and the deceitful acts of Mingo began to take root. And then you had all these frivolous filings in the court, and you had all these back and forth, and you had the president himself, the caretaker president, who himself is head of a de facto regime because that regime was voted out by a no confidence vote. So he was merely standing on one toe, not even a leg. He was standing on a toe after no confidence vote. And he pushed it and he pushed it and he pushed it in our faces, down our throats, to the point where he became to be a hypocrite. And he's calling CARICOM and then sending them back and then saying this and saying that and giving his people that his own son-in-law came and said enough is enough. You need to have these votes counted. We have seen through this rigging and this fraud and this scam and the deprivation over the Guyanese people. And it's got to stop. And the only way it's going to stop is by calling the United States Secretary of State. Not you and your little cabals and your little backroom doors and those who are trying to get oil money and oil resources and trying to sell your country and going to blackmail the people and sell them down the river, the rice farmers and the sugar workers and those who are entitled just like you, Guyanese nationals, to have a stake in their country because their navel string is buried there. They have as much right as you, all of you panderers and pilferers and people who try to buy these politicians and have somebody. That has got to stop. This nonsense has engulfed the country. We are an embarrassment to the world. It's an embarrassment to our democracy, or so-called democracy. It's an infringement of our constitutional rights in Guyana and in international law and against the United Nations, of which Guyana is a signatory. It's also a fundamental breach. It's bordering on war criminality that people who behave like this should be tried by the International Court of Justice and by the United Nations Human Rights Court. All of these sins and commissions, all of these barefaced criminal acts should be answered for, should be accounted for. People should be made answerable for that. So where do we go from here? The only person in Guyana who has exclusive jurisdiction over crime and any crime that is committed, be it murder, treason, stealing an election, hate crime, customs law, whatever it may be, even a cuss case, even a bicycle thief case, even a bicycle without light case, or more serious things like maiming and murder. Because I was a prosecutor in Guyana. I was one of the top prosecutors there for years. That was my first job, prosecuting. My life was attempted 3 times. Thank God I survived. I was a senior state counsel, a prosecutor and a magistrate, the youngest to ever been appointed. And I had a very stellar record, if I may say that. Many of my cases have been reported in the Guyana law reports and in the West Indian reports. So I know about the powers of the DPP. Like I told you, I was a police legal advisor. I held that position for 2 years, way before Claudette Singh became the police legal advisor, and then she became a justice of appeal, and then she became this GCOM chair, not chair, sorry, but the head functionary at GCOM, chairperson. It's a shame because she's equipped with knowledge of what can happen if you breach the laws to that extent. And the director of public prosecutions, Shalimar Hack, needs to step up to the plate. You can't abdicate your duty or be a malpractice, what is called legal malpractice, or you forfeit your rights, or you abscond or abdicate your constitutional and public duties to an entire country. You cannot turn your back the other way when you're the director of public prosecutions, law, safety, and democracy. An entire vote. This is not a criminal case that affects one or two persons, as is normally the case, or one family, as happens in murder cases, and the wider society at large in a bigger sociological and law and society context argument. But this is an election that definitively and by its very nature extends to the people of Guyana, the entire population there, the voters, the Guyanese who live outside, the expatriates, the oil companies, the investors, the United Nations, Commonwealth, the CARICOM, the Caribbean. All are consumed, all are involved in this process because Guyana has to be a part and is a part of all of these global economies and bodies. So whether DPP then turns their back or closes a blind eye or refuses to prosecute people who have committed treason, people like Lowenfield and Mingo and these three commissioners and whosoever is doing this, and like Volga Lawrence, then there's a problem. It's malpractice. It's an abdication of your constitutional duties. And if you can't do them, then resign. Have someone else do them. Have someone do those prosecutions. There must be somebody in Guyana who's worth something to do it. You have a lot of lawyers there. If not, call me. I'll do it pro bono. I'll do it on a volunteer basis. You don't have to pay me, and I'll do it fairly. If the evidence and the facts lead to the fact that there's obstruction of government or there's theft of an election, that amongst the treason or to some other felony, then those people must be charged and must be made accountable. And 5 weeks is too long a time. I have seen other cases like the Arnold Rampersad case and the Ivan Sukram treason case and many other cases, the Boj Prasad case, Boj Pertap case, where these folks were charged for treason and for other crimes that were not even crimes. They were political vendettas. And yet they were tried and tried again. In the case of Arnold Rampersad, he was tried 3 times because the government of the day, Burnham, refused to accept that a man was not guilty. He wanted to send a message. Then he started blowing up people like Sir Walter Rodney to send an even clearer message that he was going to be touched as a dictator. And this is exactly what is happening in Guyana. Now, is Guyana a country of mice? Is Guyana a country not of men and of civilized people? Surely we can do better than that. Guyana has got, remember, we are a sovereign country. We proudly tout our independence. We wanted the British off our backs, and rightly so. I have no problem with that. I've always thought that every country must be independent, and I've never respected the monarchy, but that's another talk for another day. No one should be born a prince or a privileged person. I believe in hard work, like I did, pull myself up by the bootstraps to be able to represent people. And hence, This lack of democracy, it's a major problem in Guyana, and it's going to continue to be a problem, and it's going to continue to fester, and it's going to continue to be a sore in the international community, and it's going to be continue to be a blight on all of us. And it's going to be a shame. It is a shame that we who proudly proclaim our independence and our freedom as both an independent country and as a republic. As a matter of fact, we're the only cooperative republic of the world. Cooperative republic of the world. So we got to cooperate now in Guyana. The DPP has got to cooperate. She's got to do her job or resign. Let someone else do the job. Bobby Rako, welcome to the show. All I'm saying is this. You need to have someone who discharges the functions for which they are paid. The DPP is a public servant. When I was in that office as the third in command and then became the second in command after Ian Chang and then at one time it was George Jackman, a very um, experienced prosecutor who taught me a lot of things. The onus is on that public servant. You can't ask the Attorney General or the Solicitor General or some other private person or some other lawyer to institute private criminal charges when you are seized of the constitutional mandate and the exclusive powers and duties. You have the exclusive duties, Madam Prosecutor. No one else has. What are you waiting for? Are you going to allow Guyana to go into the abyss of unconstitutionality, dictatorship, and rubbish? Are you going to be allowed Guyana to be flushed down the toilet by these criminals, by these people who hold Guyana to ransom? You've had Congressman Meeks and Meeks and Clark that went there, Albio Sires. They all went and said the same thing. The Carter Center, oh yes, everybody has said, all the foreign observers, all the accredited foreign observers who command standing and respect in the world have said that the votes need to be counted. And that is why, brothers and sisters, the only solution left for us now is to call Mike Pompeo of the United States government. Mike Pompeo is aware of the situation. Mike Pompeo knows what's going on. He is, as we would say in America, he's cocked and loaded, or loaded and cocked, however you may put it, means that he's ready to move. But we need to bring him up to date amidst all this virus threat and endemic and pandemic. Of course, many of these folks, and rightly so, have their own country to be concerned about. But at the same time, he's the head of the foreign affairs. He's the president's right-hand person and a very powerful individual when it comes to carrying out the policy of the United States, one of which is to see that all countries have democracy and don't end up like Venezuela, where the people in Venezuela have left their shores to go and beg for food and have become prostitutes and forced to go to Guyana. It's a clear example in our eyes what's going on. When Venezuelan beggars come to Guyana because of how the country treated them, a very rich country that has oil. Nigeria, same thing. So we don't want Guyana to go down that road. We have been a poor country. We have been a third world country. The time has come when we must grasp with both hands the opportunity that divine intervention has given us, that we can locate and be seized of all resources that will put us on the map financially, economically, and otherwise, and politically. And Dubai and all these countries are great examples for us to follow, that Guyana can be similarly blessed and Guyana can reap the harvest of its natural resources. And we need to make sure that those investments that have been gone there start as quickly as possible because oil prices are dropping. And another thing is that the coronavirus is happening out there. The coronavirus is going to spread. Luckily for Guyana, it is not as densely populated as other countries of the world, And I'm very impressed with the amount of masks that have been made by people free of charge, and they've been sending. And Guyanese have been true to their principle of giving a shirt off their back to someone. We as Guyanese, proud Guyanese people, and of that Caribbean heritage and Indian heritage, will give the shirt on our backs, off our backs, to a person who needs it. That has been our experience, and that is training, and that is what we've been brought up to give others and help each other out, and give to a stranger a meal in your home. That is the Guyanese way of life. That's the Guyanese philosophy, and God bless us for having that. But we need help now. We need to understand that we have to do that. And I'm very pleased that there's been such leadership in Guyana. And I want to compliment the Guyanese people for making sure that everyone and most of the people, especially in the rural areas, are getting the masks and are observing and are getting some resources there, basic resources that will help to stop the flow of the virus. But I have a problem now in the Minister of Health. I believe her name is Valda or Volgar Lawrence, whatever it is. I've never met this woman. I've heard a lot of bad things about her. I think President Granger, or what you call him, caretaker president, whosoever the cabinet or ex-cabinet, because they're no longer functioning, should fire this woman. She is a woman who first said that you must have a party card in order to get a job. And that is whether that is so, she should never be saying things like that. It's as divisive and dismissive and racist as it can ever be. And when she comes out and says that anyone who has the virus has to be then certified by her, basically a process that makes her certify who needs help or who's characterized as dying or at risk, that rapes all the medical and legal parameters, all the World Health Organization standards, all the basic Hippocratic oath that doctors take and nurses adhere to. Valda Lawrence has turned the country on its head, and she must be removed. She must be fired. She must be removed from Guyana. What utter nonsense is this? That this woman, at best a woman with no perceivable qualifications, sits as Minister of Health, then tries to steal an election and comes out with a lot of controversial and illegal tactics, and then decides to decide who gets help or who has the virus or not, contrary to the doctors. Who the hell is this woman? And why is she still in office? How come she's still a minister? When the entire world is plagued with a virus and she is there to play God and say whether someone is ill or not, and that all final papers of people's sicknesses are sent to her. They are not publicly given to other people. There's no public record. There's no public notice. She covers up or hides the statistics and is just waiting to probably call a state of emergency suddenly so that they can then curtail the counting of the ballots. What kind of illegal, insipid, deceitful, fraudulent plot is playing out in Guyana? When we very well know that this woman, if it touches a certain amount of deaths or amount of cases, she, as Minister of Health, can then inveigle a call to say that there's a public emergency and hence we have to have a government of necessity. And therefore, the cabal, this illegal regime that was voted out by the people but doesn't want to accept that, will continue in office. And then you've got Lowenfield, on the other hand, said, yes, we'll need 158 days to count the ballots. What vicious, asinine, and obviously illegal plot is this that has been allowed to unfold? That is why, brothers and sisters, you see through it. It's not rocket science. It's a deceit of man. It's the wicked ways of mankind that Guyana now has to go down the drain, and Guyana is flying at half mast. And the Guyana's people are held to ransom. Poor country where many of us left because of the political, medical, and legal issues there. To continue to suffer this way is beyond the pale. And that has got to stop. And the only way it can stop is by calling Mike Pompeo. I have shown you in this video, those of us who have just joined, go forward or just pick up your phone, pick up your cell phone, and you call Mike Pompeo. And I'll do it again as a final closing to you. The more messages you leave, the better it is for you. This is Mike Pompeo's number on my phone. It's the Secretary of State. You don't have to be privileged to have his number. His number is public. That is the number there. And the number is quite simple number. 202, that's Washington, D.C. 202 647 4000. 202 647 4000. Simple number. And I will show you that I will call it now. You call a number. It's ringing. Mike Pompeo, I'll put it on speaker so you can all learn this.
You have reached the Department of State. Please listen carefully as our menu options have changed. Press 1 for the passport information. Press 2 for the visa department. Press 3 for the authentication department. Press 4 to speak with the Department of State operator.
So I press 4 to speak to the operator.
This call is subject to be monitored and or recorded for quality assurance and training purposes. If you remain on the line to be connected to an operator, you are consenting to be monitored.
It's after 7 p.m.
Good evening, Department of State.
Hi, good evening, sir. I wanted to speak to Secretary of State Mike Pompeo.
Welcome to the US Department of State's comment line. Please leave your message after the beep. Thank you.
Hello, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. This is Albert Baldeo. I'm calling on behalf of the entire Guyanese population and the diaspora. We need to have a recount of the votes in Guyana, and to the president, the rightful president, to be installed. That has not been done. Democracy has been hijacked, and there's lots of other illegalities going on there. Please ensure, sir, you can call me back at 917-548-1055. Please intercede in the Guyana elections and make sure after 5 months that it can be a proper count and the rightful president can be installed. Thank you very much, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. My name is Albert Baldeo, and I thank you very much.
To re-record, press 2-1. To approve as is, press pound. To make private, press 1. To make priority, press 2. To send, priority. To make private, press 1. To remove priority status, press 2. To send, press pound. Thank you for leaving your message. To access your mailbox, press.
So that's all you have to do in terms of getting Mike Pompeo. The more calls you make, the better it will be. If you want to remain anonymous, you can do that. But it's better for you to leave your name and number. If you really care about democracy, if you really want to see it done, if you really want to see Guyana have democracy, you have to call Mike Pompeo. Mike Pompeo, that is President Trump's right hand in terms of making democracy in Guyana. If you want to see the flag flying full again, if you want to see happiness with this flag, if you want to see it flow in the wind, the golden arrowhead, to have happiness again, if you want to see democracy there, then it boils down to one basic thing. That's calling Mike Pompeo. I have done a lot of international courses as a lawyer, and I urge you, this is how international law works. This is how countries who are the police people or the policemen of the world can help others in times of need. They are there, and you have to look at the actions of bigger countries and smaller countries. But in this particular case, where the evidence to show that Guyana's election is being stolen and hijacked, then it demands and it necessitates intervention by the superior powers that be, superior countries, countries that are stronger, that can help smaller countries like Guyana to get democracy and to get help so that the people, the working class people, the voters, and the families that live in the diaspora, many of whom call me every day here in Richmond Hill and Ozone Park and Briarwood and Queens Village and Floral Park and in Florida and Canada and California and Texas, all these, and Canada and United Kingdom, all these countries where Guyanese among that have played a great part in the economy and in the development of these bigger countries, where we all need to have people who can help us there. So thank you very much, Mr. Ricky Ram, um, Saeed Wazim, Ricky Ram, about cleaning up Liberty Avenue. That is the work of everybody. You've got to do that. Many people are throwing their stuff on Liberty Avenue, and that's a bad thing. That is not something we need to be proud of. So we've got to stop putting the throwing our garbage on Liberty Avenue. That is not a dumping ground. That's not a place to dump your garbage. Saeed Wazim, stay safe. Keshav Singh. Um, People are apprehensive because of residency status. I understand that, but like I said, with the census, there's no way, or there is no provision that they will do that. Um, so that you needn't be afraid of that. And Samantha Singh, thank you for your wonderful comments. Arun Singh, for being a community leader and doing my part. It is my duty to do so. To whom much is given, much is expected. I always give back. I'm not one of these petty Caesars who sit behind closed doors and have a cabal of friends. I speak for the people. The people have empowered me, and they're the people that I represent. And Sabine Wright, yeah, I agree with you, from the Public Advocate's Office. I hope you tell Jemani Williams, our friend and colleague in government, that we need to have that 9/11 similar type fund passed for all these people who have lost. Um, and Roni saying, you're right, these people need to go to jail because what they're doing is treason. It's a criminal act, it's illegal. And Joey Samaru, we have so much problems in America. Why Guyana cannot solve their own problems? Well, Guyana needs help. And you can see, and that's one reason probably why you left and left. There was a lot of bullyism and thuggery going on in Guyana. Chadi Jagan, the person who as a father of the nation, always said, do not get involved with that aspect because you will lose. I don't know if you remember the riots of 1963. There's a lot of polarization of race in Guyana, but that is something that we can't go down that road. That will not lead to any solutions. Guyana needs help, and that is why, as American citizens and as Guyanese living in America, we need to help, and help is very easy. It is better for Mike Pompeo to intercede and for you to make that call, Joey, than for a barrel of food to go down there. Comparatively speaking, it's good to send your barrels, but there comes a time when you need to call on the higher powers. And the more practical way of doing that is to make Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, on behalf of the United States government, to take actions. He has already promised serious actions. This is IPASS, and like I said in Guyana, it is RAS pass. 5 weeks and you still can't count the votes. We've had a history of rigging in Guyana, so it's not something that that hasn't been happening. It's something that's very clear to all and sundry, and those who are not ostriches with their head buried in the sand. And I'm not saying, Joey, that you are one of them, but I'm a man of practical actions, and that's how I become a leader in this community. Um, I do positive things and I do meaningful things, and I know how to access power and government and how to make it use, for our benefit as taxpayers and as constituents, than to talk in a teacup and not have anything done, or to bring a few meals for somebody and feel that you've changed the world. That doesn't change the world. It's great. It's great things to be doing, but it doesn't change the world. It doesn't change the paradigm of institutional racism and bullyism. And that is why we have to follow these things and make sure that they come to fruition, and that we can make sure that we help in doing this. So, brothers and sisters, thank you all for joining me. Thank you all for listening to the program. It's been a pleasure being with you here. You can share my video, you can share the ideas of it, and You can also reply to me, inbox me if you have any comments, criticisms, or anything going forward. I always believe in going forward. Um, I'm merely the messenger. I'm merely the fighter for you. It takes a lot. Like I said, I don't get paid. I was the first elected district leader in this community. Our community was cheated of a state senate seat in 2008, going all the way back. I've continued to fight. I've continued to fight when others would have run, when others would have said enough is enough. I don't really care about these people. They are in their own boat, just like that comment from Joey said that Guyana must solve their own problems. I've always believed in helping others less fortunate than myself. That's why I went to Queen's College, one of the first of Queen's College in Guyana, a very elite great school that produced scholars and champions and heroes and martyrs, Chetty Jagan, um, just about all the presidents of Guyana, good and bad, went to Queen's College, but it's been an institution of great learning. And from that, my professors there always taught me that you're all blessed. You're a select group of students that have come here at the age of 10 at this elite school with a great history called Queen's College of Guyana, and that you must give back, sorry, you must give back to your communities because to whom much is given, much is expected. And I've done that. Like I said, I've never received any payments. I've never asked for money. I've never asked for wages. I've spent a lot of money in politics just to empower you. And I've done that because our community needs empowerment, our community needs help, our community needs a voice. I have seen the bigger picture. I've been down that road. I have taken the bullets for you. I have stood where none of you have ever gone. I've walked through territory that never had any footprints for me. And I've been a pioneer and a trailblazer proudly and spiritedly and with the inspiration of the Almighty, whom I thank for giving me the message and the vision to lead you to a land of better opportunity and to have a better quality of life. I ask that anyone wants to do that, I will gladly join hands with you. No negativity, but just positive stuff in order to go forward to have a voice. If you want to run for office and you want to make sure that we can have a voice, I'll be there with you. I'll be there to help you. I'll be here to guide you. I'll be there to mentor you. Just inbox me or give me a call, 718-529-2300. That's 718-529-2300. It's a 24/7 hotline where I use for my community work as a community leader and civil rights advocate for the Baldeo Foundation. My foundation has a 24-hour hotline, 718-529-2300, and it's to help the community to help issues like these, to fight the coronavirus, to help empower us, take part in the census, make sure you vote, 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 and become citizens. That way you enjoy the fullness of the American dream. And with that, salam alaikum. Um, Greetings to you. May the Almighty bless you. Khalid Murshad Rizvi, welcome, brother. You might have to go back to the start of the program because I'm about to wrap up now. But assalamu alaikum to you, and also namaste, Sitaram, Jai Shri Ram to all my Hindu brothers and sisters. And may we continue to have friends and to my Jewish friends. We just celebrated Happy Passover to you, Shalom, and now Happy Easter. And yesterday we celebrated or we observed Good Friday, the most solemn day in the calendar. And we learned from that how one man gave his life and gave his liberties and saved the world for what he believed in and shed his blood to save us from our sins. And with that in mind, let us reflect and let us hope and pray that we can take a page out of the book of Christ and understand and realize that all the scriptures, all the theological gratifications that have made us into a civilized society point to one thing, and that is do good over evil. Let good triumph over evil. Let good be your guiding thoughts, and you must be there for others. Help others who are less fortunate than yourselves. The world is a cycle. It comes around in free motion. And remember, the arc of justice is long, but it bends towards justice. The moral arc is long, but it bends towards justice. You can like my page, People for Baldeo. Like I said, I do this on a volunteer basis. I don't get paid for this. I don't request money for it. I don't need money for it. The empowerment and gratitude and gratification that comes from helping your fellow man and from leading people and showing them and teaching them and mentoring them and guiding them along the lines and fighting for them, there's no money that can reward someone from the fullness of their heart. And with that in mind, brothers and sisters, I bid you adieu. I bid you goodbye. I ask you to continue to be strong and continue to keep the faith. Inshallah, Namaste, and God's grace be with you as we celebrate the happy Easter where Christ rose from the dead and rose triumphantly over evil. So may we as a society rise above the virus, the illegality of the elections in Guyana, and all these problems that surround us. And may God bless us all. Thank you very much, brothers and sisters. Care for each other, wash your hands, wash your groceries, stay safe, stay home, and let's continue to pray for each other and help each other. Goodbye.